So the show is called Good Muslim Bitches, where they caricature Islam, Muslim women, and... Oh, no, sorry, no, it's not. No, of course it's not. It's Good Christian Bitches. And, well, let's ask the great Raymond Arroyo, best-selling author and host of The World Over on EWTN, who's in Washington. I suppose, Ray, we shouldn't be surprised by this, should we?
Well, no, we shouldn't be surprised, but it's a pity that we even have to have this conversation. Yep. You know, Newt Gingrich, who's running for president here in the United States, raised just what you opened with. He said, what if the title of this were reversed, and instead of Good Christian Bees, you had Good Muslim Bees? Would it engender the same kind of non-response from the elite media and many around the country? And apparently, it doesn't. No one's reacting to this at all. I mean, there's a handful of women's groups, Parents Television Council, and some Christians who are upset. But beyond that, there's nary a word of reportage of outrage or even columns about this.
Yeah. When I first heard, I assumed it was some esoteric term that was used within the Christian world, and that isn't the case. And then I assumed that even completely non- or anti-Christian feminist groups would say, hey, hold on, the word is very offensive to women. Forget Christians, to women. But hardly a mention.
Yeah, no, we've been having a national debate about a talk show host who used the word slut to describe a woman who was arguing for contraceptives here in the United States. Okay, that is a derogatory term that should never be used, nor should this term be used, particularly when it's used to describe an entire group of religious adherents. And if you watch the show, and because of you, Michael Coren, I watched this miserable thing, It is the most, as somebody who's from the South, you know, I was born in New Orleans, and this is set in Texas. It is the most derisive portrait of women in the South. They're catty, they're nasty, vicious. Everybody's got enhanced breasts, and I mean, it is just ridiculous. And it's the most cynical kind of portrait of people in the South, and it's coming largely from the folks on our coast, New York and Los Angeles. Yeah. This is what they think of Southern people and Southern people of faith, and it is an outrage, and more people should be outraged about it.
Yeah, they really should. You know, I don't know the culture anything like as well as you do, but I've known evangelical culture from the South a little, and yes, there is a certain way, you know, hairstyles and makeup, which... For me, initially, I thought, my golly, it was. But then you meet these people, and these are the most incredibly kind, giving people, giving huge amounts of money to charities in the third world. And so they don't dress the same way as maybe someone who lives in Manhattan. But it doesn't make them an unpleasant, repugnant person. They should never be called a bitch.
No, well, they've turned them into nasty caricatures, and you know, this is tied up with political realities and cultural realities. And look, the South in the United States is a very conservative part of the country. They are a very faithful part of the populace, and that is looked down upon by the folks on the coast. But when you dig into the show, and it would have been a far better show had the screenwriter, who incidentally wrote Steel Magnolias, which was not a bad play or a screenplay following, he understood the balance there between the kind of kitschy big hair and the bubblegum chewing and that sort of thing, and yet he accurately captured the hearts of these women and that they were really good people beneath this, you know, veneer. In this show, these are really nasty people beneath the veneer, and it's a cartoon. And I just don't see how it's in any way illuminating. It's certainly not entertaining. And my guess, it will fail miserably. Yeah. Kraft has already pulled sponsorship. Others will follow. This is hitting their base of consumers. It offends the very people so many of these companies want to reach out to. There's no good reason to advertise on a show like that.
No, you're quite right. It's simply very bad TV. If it had the title and it was stellar, at least there'd be some sort of argument. But there is none at all. And again, you're right. Rush Limbaugh, he shouldn't have used that word. I think the person who used it about is outrageous at many levels, but I wouldn't call her that. But he has apologized. They haven't apologized at all. You know, I'm sure you do know this. We're covering it next week. In Britain, there's an attack saying that no one has a right to wear a very small crucifix at work. If you lose your job for wearing just a small crucifix, the government, the state, will not defend your right to have that job. There does seem to be a changing culture in the West these days.
Yeah, well, there's this antipathy toward religion and religious expression, but you'll notice it's only selective religious expression. Yeah. The majority belief, a Christian belief, is suddenly fair game. We can make fun of these people, we can forbid them to wear crosses in public, yet at the same moment you have an accidental burning of a Quran in Afghanistan, and you'd swear the world were coming apart. Incidentally, in protest, this week there was a protest in Afghanistan where a cross was burned. Yep. I don't see anybody complaining. Yep. So it's very odd, the double standard. And this is what is at the heart of certainly my critique. Yep. Don't have a selective group that is protected and then allow the vast majority to be besmirched and attacked in public. It's just not fair. No. You know, we have to have fairness in society.
Yes, we do. As always, Ray, it's a great pleasure. Sorry we didn't have more time, but we'll have you back on the show as soon as we possibly can. Thank you, my friend.